My name is Jite Agbro. I'm a print artist and collage artist working here in Seattle. This is my project at Mad Art, Proposed Land Use Action, P.L.U.A. This is a recreation of the building that I grew up in that still stands today in the Central District on 18th and Yesler. The building is called the Bryant Manor. It's a public housing unit that houses over 50 families at this point. About a year and a half ago, maybe a little longer ago, I was driving by and saw the sign, the familiar sign in front of the building that lets you know that it's coming down. I created this piece as a way to grieve the loss of this place in the neighborhood, but also a way of remembering what it was like to grow up there and to reflect on, how this place impacted my life. I've invited people in to experience this as a memory. I hope they can relate to it. I think that people can relate to old memories as loss. This material is pretty ephemeral, which helps people think about this piece as a memory piece. This scale is kind of strange because I'm remembering it from childhood, so the scale is sort of bizarre, as if someone is looking up. I do remember these details: the houses, the trees, the plants, the little gates, the stairs, little field mice out in the park, birds, spring birds. I added those references because they were just the small touches that I had the closest memory to. And I think that's how memory works. It's kind of unreliable, when you're trying to stitch it back together decades later. What you end up with is bits and pieces, not an entire narrative. And that's kind of what this show is. It's the buildings are this backdrop for these bits and pieces of memory that I still hold. And the truth is the building is coming down. So this was my chance to hold on to those memories. What's unique about this kind of public housing and the location of it is that it's not isolated. Most public housing is isolated, and so the people are isolated. The Bryant Manor, it's right on Yesler and 18th. The neighborhood's at the center of several neighborhoods in Seattle. And because of that, it pulls its richness from all of these different places. I just, realized that it's not really enough to offer housing. It has to be, there has to be space, and that space needs to be in a place where it can benefit people. It's my own personal story, but it does obviously relate to bigger questions about urban development. And I hope that people draw their own conclusions about what it means when a building comes down, what it means when people get displaced, how that impacts the neighborhood. If we think about buildings as part of a greater environment and not just sort of entities onto themselves, and how that affects the people that live in the building or the people who live next to the building. I really wanted to talk about perspective more than anything, how your environment might influence your perspective, or the things that you have control over versus what you don't. As I was creating the project and completing it, it became more about gratitude and, a positive memory as opposed to just a shifting of perspective.